Okay, in this section we're going to talk about dynamics. So dynamics is basically just another way of saying, how loud or how soft we're playing our song. And by controlling the dynamics that we're playing and actively using dynamics within the song, it's going to make it sound so much more professional and cleaner and just overall better. When we first learn how to play, a lot of times we're just kind of playing at one constant volume, something like this. Which sounds okay, but it's kind of loud, a little bit jarring. It's just the same thing over and over again. There's no depth to it, no nuance to it. There's no emotion to it either. And that's kind of what we get when we hear professional musicians play, or people who've been playing guitar for a long time. We hear things like, a little bit quieter. And it gets louder, right? So playing with sort of the volume of the song can give it so much more feeling and so much more emotion. And once you've got the basics of learning how to sing and play at the same time, you can start adding this stuff to it, which will make your sound better. And here's how we're going to do that. So we're going to talk about using this pick. So let's check it out. Okay, so you can see the way that I'm holding this pick. I kind of have my index finger running down the side. There you go. You can kind of see I have my thumb going across the back like this, right? So I usually have my thumb running across the back. I also have my thumb kind of running like this, right? So part of my thumb is kind of sticking out the edge. I have a good amount of the plastic of the pick kind of hanging out right here, right? So I'm not like choked up super far, so there's not much plastic hanging down, if you can see that. So I try to make sure that I have a good amount of plastic hanging down right there. I'm not using the fingerprinty part of my finger to hold the pick, so not really like this. I'm kind of curving my finger a little bit, if you can see that. So that's just one way to do it. This is the way that I do it. And the reason I do that, I feel like it gives me a good grip on the pick. So having my thumb kind of go across the back and having my index finger kind of run down the side makes it sound a little bit better. And definitely makes it feel a little bit better. There are other ways to hold it. Some people will hold the pick with two fingers like that and the thumb on the back. Some people will do it like that. I mean, do whatever is comfortable for you, but play around with different versions of it, because ultimately you want to get something that you actually are kind of comfortable with, but you want to be able to get a good sound out of it as well. So for me, like I said, I have my thumb going across the back of the pick and my pointer finger sort of running down the middle there, with at least half of the pick sort of showing. And to get that kind of soft, smooth sound, what we're going to do is we're going to loosen up the grip when we're holding the pick. A lot of times when we're first learning how to play, like we're gripping this thing with this death grip as hard as we can because we're afraid we're going to drop it, or we're afraid we're going to slip it around or lose it or something. And it might slip around, and that's okay. We kind of adjust it and you learn how to control it a little bit better. But if you're squeezing this pick super hard, you're going to get a really loud sound of the guitar, which may be what you're looking for. But if we want to start softening it up and really playing with the dynamics of the song, start to loosen that grip. Really, it's just sort of the friction of my fingers keeping that pick in there. I'm not squeezing at all. And then when I strum, the pick is a lot floppier. It can kind of go back and forth over the strings and sound a lot smoother and quieter. As I tighten my grip, it gets louder. I'm not trying to strum any harder. I'm just easing up on the pick and then squeezing the pick. So play around with that. Play around with how tight you're holding the pick, how loose you're holding the pick. The other thing I kind of like to do is have the pick sort of angled towards the bridge of my guitar. I find that if I have the pick sort of straight up and down or pointing towards the neck, it sort of slips around. So I like having it sort of pointed that way. Like I said, I like having a lot of the pick hanging out at the bottom. You can try different thicknesses of picks. Some are super floppy and bendy. Some are really, really thick. Obviously, the thicker picks are going to produce a louder sound. Floppier picks will kind of produce a smoother, quieter sound. It really depends on what you're looking for. So go out, get a couple different pick thicknesses and try them out and see what works for you. But play around with the dynamics of the song. Take that first verse and maybe play that song with quiet strums. And when you get to the chorus, squeeze that pick and play it louder. And and sort of mess around and experiment with volumes in between that, different thicknesses and different grips of how hard you're holding that pick. So play around with it, try it out for different parts of your song. Maybe start the song quiet, then by the time you get to the end of it, maybe you're really like squeezing that pick so it's super loud. There's really no right or wrong way to do it. You can listen to the recording of the song that you've learned how to play and sort of see what the artist does. Does it start off quiet? Does it get loud? Where does it change within the song? But pay attention a little bit to the dynamics of it, and you'll be more in tune with your song, and it will start to sound better. Okay, once you have that down, we can move to the next section. We're going to talk a little bit about strumming patterns. I'll see you there.